Alright, let's go over the balance patch changes for Team K-Dash, starting with K-Dash himself. So right off the bat, he has a close A that recovers a little bit faster. Now, it's not going to give him any new links, but you can take advantage of this new, or this more frame advantage to kind of do better pressure here, or do a confirm like this. Next up, Far A is going to have expanded hitbox upward and forward, so it's going to be a better anti-hop or anti-air. And then Far B is going to have reduced overall frames by 2, so this is going to be better on block and on neutral. So still negative, of course, because it's a poking button, but on neutral, on hit, it's going to be neutral. Next up, Far C, this is a big buff for him, so this move starts up faster, and they expanded the hitbox and also made him move forward more, so that increases the hitbox and the range even more. And they also increased the cancel window by 4 frames, so you have a lot of time to confirm off of this, like that. And even if you miss, you could still whiff cancel this, so you can kind of get some sort of continued pressure off of this. Next up, Crouching A expanded hitbox forward, so it has more range, and reduced overall frames by 1, so better frame data. Now again, no new links off of this, but always good because you have more frame advantage using this. So let's see, something like this is gonna land more consistently. Oops, used the wrong one. I also used the wrong one, but you get the idea. It's gonna be better for him overall. Crouching C now moves forward on startup, so this actually has more range. So good for K-Dash, because you could do some sort of frame trap like this, because the Crouching A is plus on block. So really good stuff. Crouching D is also going to have more range forward, so let's see here. Yep, more range because it moves him forward. That's always good, because sweeps are some of the longest reaching normals for the cast in general, and so for your longest normals to have even more reach is always good. Jumping C, they're going to reduce the attack starter from 8 to 6, so this comes out faster. And on the hop versions, the active frames have been increased by 2, so you can hit it early on the way up, and it's still going to connect. Yeah, that's really good. And then the cancel version of his command normal, they reduced the attack starter from 17 to 15. I don't think this is going to add any new combos because this only combos off of the heavy. But maybe if you're comboing this from lights, you can do some sort of frame trap better than what you did before. So maybe that's the purpose behind that faster cancel. Next up, Ein Trigger. They're gonna increase the buffer input window to do the follow-up, so you have more time to kind of decide which follow-up that you're gonna do. EX Ein Trigger is gonna move forward on startup. Oops, wrong move. So it kind of moves forward here. I'm not sure if that adds anything functionality wise, but I guess that makes it easier for certain stuff to connect like that. Next up, second whip can now reflect projectiles. So let me see if I can demonstrate this here. Had the dummy set to slowing out projectile. Did that too soon or too late. There you go. So this now reflects projectile. So another new way for K-Dash to deal with projectiles. Now, does it add anything crazy? I'm not sure, because usually you could just use this to cancel out the projectile and then send out your own using this. But maybe if the opponent is using an EX Reflect, that would be a new way, a better way to deal with it, because this wouldn't work on EX projectiles. Next up, Second Shoot EX is going to have better frame data after using this. Not really a big deal. That just means that you have more ways to follow up. More time to follow up. Next up, Second Knuckle, which is the C follow-up of this Ein Trigger. It's gonna have more range. So typically, sometimes this would whiff the knuckle right here, the last hit. And now they're gonna expand the hitbox so that it hits more consistently. Even though I dropped the combo there, but you get the idea. Now the next one is a pretty big buff. So the C version of his DP has better recovery, so you can get a safe jump off of this now. Or a better safe jump setup rather. Let's see if I can demonstrate this. I'm still jumping too early, but you get the idea. He has enough time to even do an empty jump setup here. Yep, I think that's definitely a safe jump setup. So let me do this. Yep, safe jump setup. And if I use the EX version, which I think is faster or same speed, but either way, you get the idea. Really good for K-Dash because his DP is usually the combo ender for a lot of his yeah, it's a typical combo ender, and you know it's a DP, so you can use it on wake up as well, and he's gonna get a safe jump setup off of a reversal, so pretty busted. They also increased the input window for you doing the follow-up, so in case you don't already match forward D, you have more time to do the follow-up, which I don't think was really needed. Not that it really adds anything for K-Dash, but pretty minor, insignificant buff for that part. Next up, EX Crowbite. So this is basically the same buff. It's decreased landing recovery by 4, so he's going to get a better safe jump setup off of this. Next up, Minute Spike. Greatly reduced recovery frames, so this is safer. Let me see here. I think it's still negative. Yeah, it's still really punishable, but I guess it's going to be a little bit less punishable in case opponents are kind of caught in the headlights here. They changed the height and travel distance here, so what, does he travel a little bit slower? Probably insignificant because you're usually going to do the follow-up every time you use this move. And what else? Increase opponent knockback distance on block. So let me see here. That means he's supposed to be further, but he still looks like they're really close. Yeah, they're really close whether you use this or the other version here. So insignificant change in my opinion. The D version of Minute Spike is gonna have armor on it now. So let me see if I can demonstrate this. Yep, there you go. So you can kind of use it as a reversal to go through certain moves here, which is really good. Now, of course, you gotta do it early enough. Yeah, it looks like towards the beginning of the move, but not necessarily at the end. And then Narrow Spike EX version, reduce attack setup from 9 to 7. So this, the attack portion comes out faster. Increase 5 frames, increase overall frames by 5 on block. No changes on block. So basically, if you do this on block, this the whole entire animation or the entire interaction happens 5 frames sooner. So it's still unsafe, still very punishable, but you just have to react faster if you're the defender, because now the game's gonna make it go faster. I'm not sure why they did that. I think if it's punishable, just give us enough time to kind of react and punish. It's kind of weird that they did that. Alright, next up, Air Minute Spike. So they added the Anywhere Juggle property off of this. It used to be only the EX version, but now they changed it so that he gets it off of the regular version as well. You know, I'm kind of dropping it here. So this is how it used to be in 13, and then in 15 they added it to the EX version, and I guess they're like, hey, you know what? Let's just make it happen for the normal version as well, which I think it's fine. It's not really that big of a deal. Now K-Dash players can convert off of this if they have the reaction for it. And then next up, Chain Drive, which is it the Rambu Super? Yeah, it is. Now has invincibility, so let's test this out, shall we? Yep, there we go. Invincibility on wake up. So, minor buff. He's got a different reverse already. He can do DP or EXDP. So, if you want to use Chain Drive to do it, then I guess that's good. Maybe against fireballs or something, fireball strings, it would be a good idea. So let me test that out actually. Okay. What the hell? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Good. That's a good, kind of not the best example, but that's it for K-Dash. Really good bus overall. Nothing that changes too much functionality wise. Let's move on to Maxima. Alright, next up we got Maxima. So starting off, we have closely reduced overall frames by 5. Not really a big deal. 4D is going to come out 4 frames faster, and that's good because this move is typically used to armor through some stuff here, and the only downside is that it comes out so slow, so you're not going to tag a lot of opponents with it, but now you're going to because it's faster. And then the Blowback has a couple changes to it. So first of all, it's going to do 90 damage instead of 75. This is a change that you really don't see with Blowbacks. Usually all of them are pretty equal in terms of like functionality, and in that they all do the same damage. But now with Maxima, there's a lot of changes to it. So damage buff, And if you hit an aerial opponent, you're gonna get the hard knockdown. And if you counter hit somebody, you're gonna get a wall bounce off of this. So you can do a combo like this. So yeah, pretty crazy off of a blowback, especially with the range that this move has. Next up, Maxima Press. It's gonna do 100 damage on the first hit instead of it's gonna do 120 instead of 100 damage. So pretty good buff for Maxima, because some of the command grabs in this game only do 100 damage, which is the same as a regular grab. So it kind of didn't really make any sense for them to nerf command grabs when the whole point is to, you know, use it over a regular grab and break through the guard. But what's the point in that if you're still doing 100 damage? So for Maxima Press to get a 120 damage instead of 100 is a pretty good buff. Next up, Maxima Charge hard version. So this is going to be faster on recovery, and if you whiff it, the recovery isn't as bad as it used to be. So you can kind of continuously throw this out. And they also changed the knockdown on hit. So before on hit, it used to do, the opponent used to be able to recover like that. Now it does a hard knockdown. Previously, you had to use the EX version to get this hard knockdown. I think that makes sense because this is a slower move. It's a hard-hitting move, and honestly, it looked like it should have done a hard knockdown in the first place. So now they're kind of making it so that it does. And they also increased the guard damage from 100 to 150. So that's quite a significant bump in guard damage. Let me try and demonstrate what that looks like here. Set the opponent to guard all. Yep, kind of big. I don't think he has any crazy setups off of this, but still good. And if you know you're harassing them with a lot of vapor cannons and whatnot, and you wanna break their guard. Let's see here. Maxima Charge EX. They're gonna increase the damage of this from 150 to 180. Okay, that's pretty good. Not a lot of people use this move because in terms of combos and neutral and whatnot, people are always just gonna use vapor cannon instead. I don't think it does any more damage than any other combos here. So that does 386. Let me do Maxima Press. Yeah, Maxima Press does a little bit more, even though it's only in the single digits. But you get the wall carry and you get the corners, so I think that's much better than what you get off of this. So kind of not that major of a buff. I guess if you if you like this move and you like throwing it out, I guess you have more of an incentive of using it now. Alright, that's it for Maxima. Kind of like some questionable buffs here and there. I think there are other things that could change and improve for him, but yeah, that's it for him. Let's move on to Whip. Alright, last up we have Whip. So she's got a lot of good changes and very well deserved changes, because going from 14 to 15 she was not very functional, and there's a lot of stuff that didn't work out very well for her, and quite honestly she was a very inconsistent character and difficult to use in 15, to be honest here. So let's go over these changes. First up, we have a faster dash speed. You can never say no to that. Close C recovers a couple frames faster, so now it links into close C. Close B also has reduced overall frames by 2, so it's going to be more advantageous on block and hit. So on block, it's neutral. That's good. That's really good because I believe this is a low here, so let me have the opponent stand up and block. Yep. So that's really good, especially because it's a low, which are typically negative on block. And next up, close C is going to come out a couple frames faster, so I'm sure that's going to play into this link becoming possible now. When I dropped it here. And then next up we have far C. So first of all, it's now whiff cancelable on the first hit. Probably not something you still want to do. And then the second hit is now cancelable by special moves and above. So you get a confirm off of that. So pretty good stuff. So a setup that you can do with whip is, let's see, if they block your string, instead of going into the low, you would just do far B, which is plus on block, and then you would tag them with far C. Well, actually, I guess that doesn't work. Maybe from maybe like this. Yeah, keep it to 2 normals and then the far C. Next up, far B is gonna have reduced attack startup from 6 to 5 frames. So this comes out 1 frame faster. That's good because this is a poke that's Typically, pokes like this are not plus on block, but hers is, which is good. She needs something like that given her normals. Alright, moving on. Close D is going to come out a couple frames faster, so that's good because, as you know, close D comes out slower than close C, but does more damage. So for her close D to come out faster means that she's going to be able to consistently combo better, even though I'm dropping it in all these instances right now. But there you go. Just got to practice it. Alright, next up, crouching C, reduce overall frames by 2. So this is going to recover a little bit faster. That's good. It's a far-ranging poke, and sometimes when the opponent jumps over and you're still in whiff recovery, that's just not good for you. So the fact that this is recovering faster is really good buff for whip. Next up, blowback comes out a couple frames faster, so 17 to 14. And then jumping D has an expanded hitbox forward on the first and second hit. So let's see, so now you can hit from further away. So that's good because previously it didn't have quite a good hitbox, so that's a much needed buff. Next up, jumping D vertical, increase attack frames by 2, so it's more active, which means you could kind of press it earlier and it'll still hit on the way down, so that's pretty good. Okay, next up, whip shot. So her command normal, increase distance opponent travels closer on the 4th hit, and change the blowback on the 5th hit. So the second change is what's really significant because now this makes this combo possible. Yep. So that leads to a hard knockdown and a safe jump setup. Even though I botched it there, but that's a new combo that she can do off of that, which is really good for whip. Because without bar, she doesn't have a lot of good combo opportunities. And honestly, I thought this buff, this new addition going from 14 to 15 was kind of useless because of the damage scaling. But now that they're going to make it so that the 5th hit doesn't knock them away as far, there's more possible stuff that she can do for mid-screen like this. So, really good change for whip because she needed that. Next up, let's see, Talon Shot. Oh, that's the other command normal, this one. So reduce knockback distance on hit, which means they're going to be closer on hit. And then the increased knockback duration on hit. Reduce knockback distance on hit, increase knockback duration on hit. Okay, so on hit, it's more plus, and they're going to end up closer to you. So this is probably going to be a good quick max confirm. So if I can do this right, like that. And typically that's how it was used in 14 as well. Next up, Boomerang Shot code SC. I'm pretty sure this is her go-to move, the Hasuka forward move. So they've made a lot of changes to this move. First of all, they greatly expanded the hitbox on the second hit. They greatly reduced the recovery on hit. They increased the opponent knockdown on hit, greatly decreased recovery on whiff, and changed the blowback when hit on the first hit. So there were a lot of problems with this move before. So let me kind of see if I can go over them and explain the changes here. So let's see. Have the opponent jump up, vertical hop. No, vertical jump is better. So here are several problems with this move before. If you anti-air with this move, the first hit will connect, but then the second hit would whiff. And so the opponent will recover after getting hit from the first hit, and the second hit, and whip's doing this recovery animation. It's a super long animation, and the opponent was able to actually recover after being knocked down by the first hit, run up and punish whip. That's how long the recovery was. And all because they didn't design the second move to connect after the first move hits. And I'm kind of whiffing it here entirely because I'm just simply missing. But that was a major issue with the original version of the game. Now they're making it so that both hits land more consistently. And this was something that I've complained about in the trailer. Actually, this was in the trailer. This was a big concern of mine, which it didn't make any sense if you're trying to anti-air with this move, why both of the hits are not connecting. Now, on top of this, they made a couple of big changes to it, particularly the recovery. So, once you land this move, Whip actually recovers faster and has time to actually run up and continue her pressure. Before, the recovery for both you and the opponent was equal. So the amount of time that it takes for you or for them to get up was the same as you recovering from your animation, which I thought was always done because you're the one who did the knockdown. It just doesn't make sense for you to have no advantage on wake up after using this move. So really good changes for this move, and honestly it should have been like this in the first place. Next up, the A version of this is now invulnerable to in-air attacks. So against air normals, no matter how deep the normal goes, it's going to whip through you. So it's just going to be a better anti-air. Next up, Strength Shot Type A. Expanded hitbox in the first and second hit. Expanded areas only for the opponent is in a hit state. So this kind of plays into this combo being more possible here. They expanded the hitbox on the first and second hit of that, so it lands more consistently. So that's good. That's how it should have been. And then next up, the change the blowback when the opponent is hit in air on the second hit and can follow with a crouching D. Okay, this one is this one's the biggest change for whips. So if you combo into this, you can now follow up with crouching D. And the reason that's so important is because crouching D puts him in a juggle state, so you can continue the combo like this. And now her mid-screen damage has gone up by a lot, so almost 400. Definitely 400 if I actually get both hits of the close D. And let's see if I can add the OTG to this. There you go, 391. So really good buff for whip because this was previously possible only in the corner. And even off of one bar, it's a lot of damage, over 300. So the fact that you can now get this mid-screen is pretty huge. I kind of wish this was... I kind of surprised they didn't thought of this sooner. Like when they designed the game, they were like, hey, whip kind of sucks from mid-screen. We should do something about this. And they didn't until the balance patch came out. So, I mean, at least they changed it eventually. It's not like it's 5 years into the life of the game and now all of a sudden she's good. It's, the game's still fresh and new. So really good changes for whip here. What else we got here? So Strength Shot Type D, reduce overall frames by 2. So if you're doing this whip cancel right here, and you cancel into the D version, which is the feint, she recovers faster, and that's good because this move is supposed to be a fake out, and because she can recover faster, she can do a lot of better pressure off of this, like that. Oops, there we go, like that, and kind of still keep up her pressure. One of the few ways that she can kind of be offensive without using all these far normals. So overall, really good stuff for whip. I still think she could use a little bit more functionality. I'm kind of hoping that they add some changes to this move here and make it more useful, because right now it's not really doing much for me. And what else? Let's see. I think that they should make this command normal cancelable, because right now this has too much damage scaling to it. It's good if you want, 5 hits to hit confirm it to whatever you want, but I think in terms of combo scaling, for this to be canceled would be really great. Alright, that's it for Team K-Dash. Let's move on to the next team.